Rice is one of those foods we often think of as safe and simple. A warm bowl of rice on the table, paired with vegetables, added into soup, or baked into a casserole, feels familiar and comforting. It is affordable, easy to cook, and versatile, which is why so many families rely on it to stretch meals. At first glance, rice seems harmless, almost too plain to ever be a danger. But the real risk begins after cooking. Uncooked rice can naturally contain a type of bacteria called bacillus. Cooking destroys most of it, but heat-resistant spores can survive. If rice is left to cool slowly on the counter, or stored too long in the refrigerator, those spores can wake up, grow, and release toxins that cause food poisoning. For older adults, this risk is especially serious. Common symptoms like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and dehydration can become life-threatening when the immune system is weaker or when conditions like diabetes, kidney disease, or high blood pressure are already present. There's another hidden risk when rice sits in the refrigerator for several days. Mold can begin to grow, and some molds produce aflatoxins, poisonous compounds linked to liver damage and even cancer. The danger is that aflatoxins are invisible and tasteless. You might eat rice that looks perfectly fine while silently exposing your body to toxins that build up over time. Patricia, a 68-year-old grandmother, learned this the hard way. For years she had a routine she thought was safe, cooking a large pot of rice on Sunday and eating it throughout the week. One winter, after eating rice that had been in the fridge for nearly 5 days, she became violently ill. Severe vomiting and dehydration sent her to the hospital. That's when doctors explained that rice can harbor bacteria and toxins even under refrigeration. The experience completely changed her habits. Now, she cools her rice quickly, stores it in small containers, and freezes anything she won't use within 2 days. The good news is that small, simple changes can almost eliminate the danger. After cooking, spread rice in a thin layer on a tray or wide dish so it cools within 1 hour. Once cooled, place it in airtight containers and refrigerate it promptly, but use it within 1 to 2 days. If you've cooked more than you need, divide it into small portions and freeze it right away. Frozen rice stays safe and tasty for months. When reheating, make sure it reaches at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit throughout, and avoid reheating the same portion more than once. For seniors, these small steps are about more than food safety. They are about staying healthy, protecting energy, and avoiding unnecessary hospital visits. As an old Indian saying reminds us, even a single grain of rice, when neglected, can teach us how small habits protect or harm us. With care and mindfulness, rice can remain the same comforting companion it has always been, nourishing your body without hidden risk. Soft cheeses often feel like a special treat. Their taste feels indulgent, their presentation looks refined, and they carry memories of family gatherings and traditions that stretch back for decades. Yet behind their creamy texture lies a hidden danger, one that is especially important for older adults to understand. Unlike harder cheeses, soft cheeses contain more moisture. This dampness creates the perfect environment for bacteria to thrive, including one of the most dangerous, Listeria monocytogenes. What makes it so troubling is that this bacteria can survive, and even grow, at refrigerator temperatures. That means even when soft cheeses are stored correctly in the fridge, they may still carry bacteria capable of causing serious illness. For younger people, a Listeria infection may only bring mild stomach upset or a brief fever. But for seniors, the consequences can be far more severe. Symptoms may include high fever, confusion, and muscle aches, and in some cases the infection can lead to life-threatening complications that require hospitalization. The Centers for Disease Control warns that people over 65 are among the most vulnerable, with mortality rates in fragile populations as high as 20 to 30%. There is another hidden problem inside these creamy cheeses: mold. In firm cheeses like cheddar or Parmesan, mold can sometimes be safely trimmed away. But soft cheeses are porous, allowing mold to spread deep inside, far beyond what the eye can see. Some molds produce aflatoxins, toxic compounds that can damage the liver and increase the risk of cancer. Because aflatoxins are tasteless and odorless, you may not realize the danger until it's too late. By the time a fuzzy green spot or unusual smell appears, toxins may already be present throughout the cheese. Harold, a 74-year-old retired teacher, learned this lesson the hard way. He loved European-style cheese boards and often bought wedges of brie to enjoy slowly. Living alone, it sometimes took him 2 or 3 weeks to finish. He assumed that as long as the cheese was refrigerated, it was safe. But one winter, after eating the last slices of a 3-week-old brie, Harold became seriously ill. Severe stomach cramps and fever left him bedridden, and doctors confirmed it was a listeria infection. Shocked, Harold admitted he never imagined cheese could be so dangerous. The experience changed his habits. Now, he buys smaller portions, eats them within a week, and chooses harder cheeses when he wants a safer option. The good news is that solutions are simple. Buy only small amounts of soft cheese, just enough to enjoy within 7 to 10 days. Store them properly by wrapping in wax or parchment paper to allow breathing while preventing excess moisture, then place them inside a sealed container in the coldest part of the refrigerator. Never try to cut off moldy spots on soft cheese, the contamination often runs deeper than the surface. And when in doubt, choose harder cheeses like cheddar, Parmesan, or Gouda, which resist mold and bacteria much more effectively. Soft cheeses will always hold a certain charm. They bring elegance to a table, richness to a cracker, and comfort to an evening snack. But health must come first. Cheese, like friendship, is best enjoyed fresh, and knowing when to let go protects both your well-being and your independence. With a little care and mindfulness, you can continue enjoying these pleasures without unnecessary risk. Cold cuts may seem like one of the simplest meals to prepare. A quick turkey or ham sandwich for lunch, maybe with mustard, lettuce, and tomato, feels familiar, convenient, and satisfying. At holiday gatherings, a colorful charcuterie board of salami and smoked turkey feels festive and inviting. For many seniors, deli meats offer ease, tradition, and a sense of comfort. But behind this convenience lies a hidden risk that most people rarely consider. Most deli meats are preserved with nitrates or nitrites, chemicals that help the slices look fresh and pink while extending shelf life. On the surface this seems helpful, but inside the body, these compounds can transform into something far more dangerous. Nitrates and nitrites can break down into nitrosamines, chemicals linked to cancers of the stomach, colon, and other parts of the digestive system. You cannot see them, taste them, or smell them. That slice of turkey in your fridge may look perfectly fine, but the longer it sits, the more opportunities there are for these harmful changes to occur. Salt is another hidden problem. Cold cuts often contain very high levels of sodium to aid preservation. For seniors, this is a serious concern. Too much sodium raises blood pressure, strains the heart, and increases the risk of kidney disease. As we age, the body loses some of its ability to regulate fluids and blood pressure efficiently. That extra salt in daily sandwiches can quietly chip away at health, fueling chronic conditions that make everyday life harder. The problem is made worse by common habits. Many people buy large, family-sized packs of deli meats to save money or reduce trips to the store. While this seems practical, keeping open packages in the fridge for weeks creates a perfect environment for both chemical changes and bacterial growth. Some bacteria, like listeria, can thrive even in refrigerator temperatures, adding another invisible risk that may not show through smell or taste. Marjorie, a 78-year-old widow, discovered this during a routine checkup. For years, she enjoyed turkey sandwiches for lunch and believed that as long as the slices were cold and smelled fine, they were safe. Sometimes, she even kept an open pack in her fridge for up to 4 weeks, trimming off the edges if they looked dry. She was shocked when her doctor explained that deli meat should be eaten within 3 to 5 days of opening, no matter how fresh it appears. The realization changed her habits. Now she buys smaller amounts from the deli counter, uses them within a few days, and still enjoys her sandwiches, this time with greater safety and confidence. Fortunately, the solutions are simple. Buy fresh cuts from the deli counter instead of prepackaged meats that may have already sat for weeks before reaching your fridge. Once home, store them in airtight containers in the coldest part of the refrigerator and finish them within 3 to 5 days. If you want the taste without preservatives, roast a small turkey, chicken, or beef at home, slice it yourself, and enjoy fresh portions throughout the week. When buying store-bought options, look for packages labeled nitrate-free or no added nitrites. These are better, but even then, moderation is key. Cold cuts can still have a place in your life. They can bring joy to a quick lunch with grandchildren or add color to a holiday gathering. But treat them as an occasional treat, not an everyday staple. Convenience has its place, but wisdom is always better. Fresh food is safer food. By making small changes in how you shop, store, and enjoy deli meats, you protect not only your health, but also the independence and peace of mind that matter most. Pickles have always held a special place at the table. Whether it's a jar of dill spears waiting beside hamburgers at a summer barbecue, or bright red pickled eggs adding color to a holiday spread, these foods carry tradition, flavor, and nostalgia. For many seniors, a jar of pickles in the refrigerator feels almost permanent, always ready, always safe. But not every pickle is as harmless as it seems. Many store-bought pickled foods contain artificial colors such as yellow 5, red 40, or blue 1. These dyes may make pickles look vibrant and appealing, but in the acidic environment of vinegar brine, they can slowly break down into harmful byproducts. Research has shown that long-term exposure to these compounds may damage cells and increase cancer risk. The troubling part is that these changes happen silently. Your pickles may taste the same and look just as crisp, but inside the jar, chemical reactions may be unfolding in ways you cannot see. Another common preservative, sodium benzoate, adds another layer of risk. On its own, it prevents spoilage. But when combined with vitamin C, naturally present in foods like peppers or cucumbers, it can form benzene, a known carcinogen. This reaction becomes more likely when jars sit for months in the refrigerator, where acidity and moisture encourage slow but steady changes. For seniors, whose bodies process toxins less efficiently, these hidden reactions can carry serious consequences. Habits often make the problem worse. It's common to open a jar of pickles and keep it in the fridge for months, taking one piece at a time without much thought. The vinegar brine feels like a shield, but safety is not only about bacteria, it's also about invisible chemical changes we cannot smell or taste. Walter, an 81-year-old retired mechanic, grew up with pickled eggs as part of his Pennsylvania Dutch heritage. Every winter, he bought a large jar and slowly worked through it over 6 months. He believed the vinegar kept them safe indefinitely. During a routine checkup, his doctor explained how dyes and preservatives could transform into harmful compounds over time. Walter was stunned. "I thought vinegar kept them good forever," he admitted. With his doctor's guidance, he began choosing naturally colored pickles and making smaller homemade batches. He still enjoys them today, but with far less worry. The good news is that solutions are simple. First, choose products made with natural coloring, turmeric for yellow, beet juice for red, or paprika for orange. These give the same vibrant look without synthetic risks. Second, once a jar is opened, finish it within 2 to 4 weeks. Label the jar with the date you opened it and check regularly for unusual cloudiness, color changes, or off smells. If anything looks wrong, it's safer to throw it out. Third, consider making your own pickles at home. A simple recipe of vinegar, salt, and spices creates delicious results, and you control exactly what goes inside. Homemade pickles not only taste fresher but also connect you to the tradition of mindful, careful cooking. Pickles can and should remain a joyful part of your meals. They bring brightness to a sandwich, zest to a salad, and memories of family gatherings. But joy is safest when paired with wisdom. As the saying goes, pickles bring delight only when made with purity. By choosing natural ingredients, finishing jars promptly, and paying attention to small changes, you can keep the tangy pleasures of pickles in your life without hidden risk. The flavor you love remains, but now it comes with peace of mind, knowing you are protecting both your health and your independence with every bite. Cold cuts and deli meats are often chosen for their convenience. They are easy to stack into a sandwich, simple to store, and comforting in their familiarity. But behind that ease lies a hidden danger that many people, especially seniors, are not aware of. To extend shelf life, many processed meats are treated with nitrates and nitrites. On the surface, this seems like a benefit. But once inside the body, these compounds can break down into nitrosamines, chemicals that research has strongly linked to cancers of the stomach, colon, and other parts of the digestive system. The troubling part is that you cannot see them, taste them, or smell them. That slice of turkey or ham may look perfectly safe, but the longer it sits, the more chances there are for these chemical changes to occur. Salt adds another layer of risk. Cold cuts are loaded with sodium, which helps preserve texture and flavor, but for seniors, it creates a heavy burden on the body. Too much sodium raises blood pressure, strains the heart, and increases the risk of kidney disease. For someone over 65, whose body no longer regulates fluids and blood pressure as efficiently, that extra salt can slowly erode health and independence. What begins as a harmless sandwich may, over the years, contribute to chronic conditions that make everyday life harder. The problem worsens with habits that seem practical. Many people buy large family-sized packs of deli meats to save money or reduce trips to the store. But keeping those packs open for weeks allows both chemical changes and bacterial growth to set in. Some bacteria, like Listeria monocytogenes, thrive in the cool environment of a refrigerator, and the danger isn't always revealed by smell or taste. Marjorie, a 78-year-old widow, learned this the hard way. For years, she made turkey sandwiches for lunch and believed that as long as the slices were cold and didn't smell bad, they were safe. She admitted to keeping an open pack in her fridge for up to 4 weeks, trimming off dry edges and carrying on. But during a routine checkup, her doctor explained that deli meats should be eaten within 3 to 5 days of opening, no matter how fresh they appear. Marjorie was stunned. She thought she was being careful, but in reality her habit had been quietly putting her health at risk. Today, she buys smaller amounts from the deli counter, uses them up within a few days, and enjoys her sandwiches with a new sense of safety. The good news is there are simple ways to protect yourself. Buy fresh cuts from the deli instead of prepackaged options that may have already been sitting for weeks. Once opened, finish them within 3 to 5 days, storing them in airtight containers in the coldest part of your fridge. For a safer alternative, roast a small turkey breast, chicken, or beef at home, then slice and store it yourself. Homemade cuts are fresher, more flavorful, and free from added preservatives. And when you do buy packaged meats, look for labels such as nitrate-free or no added nitrites. These are better options, though moderation is still key. Cold cuts can still have a place at your table. They bring joy to a quick lunch with grandchildren or add tradition to a holiday platter. But they should be enjoyed as an occasional treat, not an everyday staple. Convenience is helpful, but wisdom is healthier. Fresh is always safer. By making small, mindful changes in how you shop, store, and prepare these foods, you not only protect your health but also safeguard your independence and peace of mind. Now let's turn to another food that often feels timeless and safe: pickled foods. Picture a sunny backyard barbecue where hamburgers sizzle on the grill and a jar of dill pickles sits open on the picnic table. Or think of the holidays, when bright red pickled eggs take center stage among casseroles, pies, and family favorites. Pickles hold a long history in American kitchens, offering flavor, color, and nostalgia. For many seniors, a jar of pickles in the refrigerator feels almost permanent, always there, always safe, and always ready to add a tangy crunch to a meal. But not every pickle is as harmless as it looks, and the risks are often hidden where we least expect them.